Hello everyone, I want to show you this game from round 7 of the Tata Steel Chess Tournament with the white pieces Vishy Anand and with the black pieces Vladimir Kramnik. Game started out e4, e5, knight f3, knight to c6, bishop c4, and bishop c5. So the Berlin defense has dissuaded many players from going into the Ruy Lopez. So we all been seeing this giuoco piano um, in most of the top level games recently. D3 is now the main line. Uh, Hardly ever see white playing C3 at the very top levels, following by D4. Even B4 is a possible plan, but now usually just a straightforward D3 is played. Knight f6. Now A4, expanding on the queen side. D6, and now the plan C3, and oftentimes white preserves this move B4 for a later time, but then he also has a plan of playing D4 in the center. So this Italian game has become a tool now for positional players. At one time, it was a tool mainly for attacking players. But nowadays, with so much analysis and such slower games where intentions are concealed to the last possible moment or more of the norm. A6, just a place to tuck the bishop in case it's attacked, or we should say when it's attacked. And now bishop g5. H6, asking the question of the bishop immediately. Notice here that Kramnik has not castled yet, and this is one of the benefits of inserting this move H6 here. A6. Although it serves as serves to provide a place of shelter for the bishop, it also waits and gets one more move out of white to see what he's going to do. Sometimes in the giuoco piano, you have to be careful with committing your king too early. Now, of course, there's many different lines. You can castle and it's completely harmless. But here, with the early committing of the bishop to g5, Kramnik decides not to castle, but instead use this as an opportunity to let white that he's willing to duke it out and expand on the king side with the g5. Again, notice Kramnik has not Anand has not committed his castle either. His king either, I'm sorry. So bishop h4, bishop a7. Now, did Kramnik have to do this move right away? Of course not. But by doing this move that he probably would have done anyway, he gets more information out of his opponent. Okay, because he could have just played g5 right away or something like that. But what he does is he just plays this move bishop a7, which is a move that he knows that 9 out of 10 times he's going to have to play anyway after, say, b4 or d4. So he simply does that, and this kind of gives him a useful move, but at the same time he gets to see one more move from white. What is white gonna do? All right, say for instance if white castle kingside here, then it's very tempting just to play g5 and just start an attack on the king side. It's an idea, since black has not committed his king. So these are some of the cat and mouse games that go on. Knight bd2. Again, Anand is playing the same game here. He's making useful developing moves, but still concealing his plans as much as he can. Queen e7. Again, notice not committing the king to the king side, but at the same time doing something that is very useful in the position. H3 again. Both sides are playing this game. Who's going to castle first? Who's going to commit their king? And Kramnik is doing a good job. He's not going. He's not going for it. He's just finding useful moves. And finally, he commits with G5. Now, this can be double-edged G5 here, especially since Anand has not committed his king over to the king side. Sometimes these pawns on H5 and G5 can prove to be weak later on. So this is a very committal decision by Kramnik to push forward. Knight H5 going after the bishop, and now you can see the benefits of H3. Queen E2. Now, if Anand wanted to, he could have preserved his bishop here by playing bishop to H2. Then, of course, a normal sequence would be a move like knight F4. However, this powerful knight can't be tolerated by white in this position. As you can see the attack here. So this would kind of force Anand's hand. Either he would have to castle, which would put him right into the middle of a ready-made attack here. That would be bad in this instance. Or he has to give up the bishop anyway. And now this would have the benefit of opening the G file for Kramnik's pieces. So even after H3, he decides to keep the bishop parked and plays Queen E2, fortifying the E pawn, of course, but also making the way in some cases just to castle on the king side of the board. Queen side, I'm sorry. Queen F6. Of course, bring that guy there. So now bishop H2. Knight F4. And there it is, just like we just spoke about. Bishop takes F4 because that knight couldn't be tolerated there. And especially with the queen here on E2, that basically forced the transaction. So G takes F4. And now the open G file can be beneficial to black. G4 from Anand. Now, this is the start of an interesting plan by Anand, and also a very interesting part of the game for me, because I saw here that Anand was basically shutting down black's potential activity down the G file and on the king side in general. Alright, and with his pawn already on C3, already providing a lever for his pawn to leap to B4, a Kramnik castling on the queen side is pretty much out of the question also, as his king would probably come under immediate danger over in that sector of the board. However, even if Kramnik stays where he's at with his king, the fact that Anand already has his pawn on A4, pawn on C3, and in other words, he's already gained space on the queen side, it seems that it would be beneficial to Anand to, again, shut down his opponent's potential counterattack on the king side. After all, this is where Kramnik has his space, right, on the king side of the board, right? His piece, was ready to transfer to the open G file. He has this powerful bishop here, so it seems beneficial for Anand just to shut down white's activity on the king side of the board, and then pursue his plans on the other side of the board where he has already gotten a head start. So this part of the game I found very interesting. So after Anand plays G4, Knight E7 was played. There it is, B4. So there's the queen side expansion that I was talking about. So it would seem that white would have an advantage. Where's black's counterplay going to come from? All right, but Kramnik had some moves up his sleeve. The knight goes to g6, and now Anand just simply scooches his king over one. Again, Anand doesn't want to castle either. He doesn't want to castle on the queen side because his king may come under attack. So he just moves it out of the center here. All right. H5. All right. Now, Anand simply closes the king side down. Again, following the plan that I mentioned earlier. Shut out Kramnik's potentiality in position and then just crush him on the queen side where he already has the advantage. Remember, all of Kramnik's pieces over here, not all of them, but 3 of his pieces over here. So Anand is like, hey, if I shut this area down, and with me already having a head start on the queen side, this should be no problem. Queen e7. There it is. So Anand is ruthless. He's still coming after Kramnik now. Kramnik takes time to move his king to the now safer kingside area because with it blocked up, the kingside has now become much safer, and now the king is going to rest over there. Anand keeps going with his plan, opening up on the queen side, and it looks good so far. B takes a6, and now he strikes in the center. So now all of Anand's plans are being realized here. King g7, another move just to for Kramnik to get his king into safety. And now d5 is an interesting move because basically Anand here kills this bishop's influence over here in this diagonal. All right, but here he's gaining more space. But I'm not sure if that was the best move. Maybe just a move like rook b1. Because I don't see really why it's important to play this move right here at this point, releasing this tension in the position. Another move I like is just simply a5, making sure this pawn stays right there. And you'll see this move d5 not only shuts this bishop out, but enhances the scope of this bishop. And that will be very important later on. I just simply think just keeping the tension right here was fantastic. Alright? But Anand had a different idea. So d5 was played. Bishop d7. And now king c2. Now, this move right here is understandable. Of course, he wants to bring the other rook over. However, he has to be careful playing with fire. Where the king is on c2, it's like standing next to an ocean. Let's go, kind of wading out, a little bit too far in the ocean. You might get swept away. So, although his king is safe, it's still a little risky being right there. But it's understandable that Anand wants to quickly bring his other rook into the game. But notice Anand's king in contrast to Kramnik's king. Now Kramnik, he used a few tempi to get his king to safety, but guess what? Kramnik's king is very safe right now. Whereas Anand's king is little on the sketchy side. For instance, if this rook were to move off of the A file, then this pawn could be captured, checking the king. Just something to think about there. King c2, rook hb8, bishop takes a6, and this is what I was talking about. When this move d5 was played, it allowed tactics like that. So of course, if queen takes bishop, rook takes bishop. So it's just a pawn for a pawn. All right. Now this complicates matters further because now you have the king still here on c2, and now you have not only the b file open, but the a file is open also. Okay. Put it in, more pressure can be brought to bear on this pawn. So now all of a sudden the white king has to be very careful. So bishop b5 from Anand. And now Kramnik's bishop has an excellent outpost. h4. Wow. Wow. You talk about playing on the wrong side of the board. This move right here was definitely a waste of time right here. Um, why not? I mean, why not a natural move, knight c4? I mean, you don't want that. You don't want that bishop there, right? I mean, come on. That's the most natural move in the position, and you're playing on a queen side, which is the area where you've been revolving your whole game around playing on the queen side for several moves. Ever since you played b4, and um, you've been building, d5. You build your position for this. You have already used a lot of moves on the king side if you're Anand already. There's no reason to play h5. Okay, get this guy out of here. Attack this guy. Make him do something. So he probably would have had to do a move like bishop c5, right? Not to lose the pawn. And then perhaps bishop d7, queen d7. Then you got the double attack here. So then a5. So you have the knight here supporting this pawn. Okay, and in the battle continues again with this king here. I think black is okay. Black definitely has equality because this king is gonna come under fire soon. This pawn is good, but uh, it's a long way from becoming the queen. And then say for instance at the move like c6, again the the king here just starts looking more and more unsafe to me as the game progresses. So anyway, after h4, Kramnik played the move rook a5. All right, that's simply threatening to win this pawn here. Okay, another option was bishop takes a5, and then a takes b5. Let's say queen d7 with this double attack. This sort of forces this move, rook takes a8, to keep that pawn safe. Rook takes a8, and now again the issue of king safety comes up. All right, and that's a recurring theme here. Let's say after queen d7 again with this attack, say white tries to solve the pawn protection on b5 with c4. Again, rook takes. Now you have queen g4 with this double attack here. So, and I wanted to show you that line to expose the weakness of h4. So now you had that problem. So back to the game. Kramnik decided that the threat was stronger than the execution to play rook a5, which is a good move. And there's c4. Rook b a8. And wow, king b3. I don't know. That has to be wrong. I mean, yeah. Again, I don't know. Normal attacking move. What about just attacking the rook? 5a7 and then something like that. That looks normal. Like certain things. I mean, I'm not a grandmaster or anything, but just certain stuff doesn't look right. I know these guys spend a lot of time with the computers, and sometimes the computers say stuff is okay. So then it's okay. But just putting the king out here like that, um, my instincts are against a move like that. But again, like I said, these guys are like top of the top of the top. So, but just on first glance, I was like, what? So king b3, that is risky anyway. I mean, at the least, definitely a risky move. And I don't see how it improves black white's position either. I don't see how it improves white's position, and I don't see how it detracts from black's position. So that's why I say the move looks suspect to me. It's kind of like, and when you have a move that doesn't do anything to your opponent's position and doesn't do anything for you, that's kind of like just giving the free tempo away. Like, okay, you make a move. You're kind of saying pass. That's how you pass in chess. You can't do it by the rules, but there's ways to get around it, and that's one of the ways. You make a move that doesn't really do nothing, and you make a move that you know doesn't threaten your opponent or set him any problems, and then he just says, okay, I'll do what I want. So Kramnik took his free move opportunity to play knight f8, and the idea is really simple. With the king being so bold, the knight wants to come from here and end up on c5. So basically, get rid of this guy. Knight jumps in and then go to c5. So you might ask, well, how do we protect this pawn? Well, the king can just go up there and that's it. It's really difficult. Again, this is Anand's doing, blocking the king side earlier so that he could play on the queen side. So this is beneficial to Kramnik now that his king is very safe. All right, so finally the rook gets free, and now you see, the idea behind pushing this pawn earlier, to free this rook up. Um, but wow, late in the game, and what's interesting too that I want to mention is how Anand had the head start in play on the queen side, right? And how Kramnik organized his forces to find the counterplay in the position. And now I like Black's position much better. So somewhere Kramnik made, not Kramnik, I'm sorry, Anand made a couple of moves and lost some time in the position, which allowed Kramnik to equalize first and then even gain the initiative. One of the moves, like I said, was h3, h4. The other one was definitely this king c2 to b3 business. And now I think it's Black who is definitely better in this position. So bishop g4, putting the shackles on Anand's knight, because Anand loves his knights, so his pair of knights. So that's like a psychological move. Kramnik is saying, hey, what are you gonna do about your knights? He pins both knights. They like playing mental games with each other here. Of course, bishop takes is definitely possible, and let's say after c takes b5. Of course, you can play knight d7. Don't worry about this pawn. Okay. Because the knight will come up here, and then white will wind up giving up the exchange. But however, he chose to, this is Kramnik's way of telling Anand to take those knights and shove it. So bishop g4. King goes back to c2. So you can see something has gone drastically wrong with this c2 b3 stuff right here. And again, it's those type of wasted moves that allow Black to get the initiative. Bishop takes d2. There's one knight. King takes d2. Knight d7. Of course, easy to bring the knight here. Rook to a3. Knight to c5. And now you have a triple attack here. What are you going to do about that pawn? Bishop c6. Anand figures the best defense is good offense and counterattacks. And now the rook takes over the b file. Again, issues with the king. And this has been the symptom the whole game. Okay, issues with the king. King safety is very important, and sometimes, as you see in this game, even grandmasters make errors in judgments here. Finally, Nan takes the time necessary to get his king out of danger. Unfortunately, Black has taken over the initiative at this point. And look how Black's pieces dominate the queen side. So one lesson you can take from this is that even though your opponent might have a sector of the board, already dominated, that doesn't mean you can't fight him in the same sector of the board. Of course, he has to make some mistakes. In this game, Anand made mistakes on the queen side that caused him to lose the initiative over there. So what we're saying is his plan was essentially correct. He shut down Kramnik on the king side where all of his pieces were congregated, and then he started playing on the queen side where he already had a head start with c3, b4, a4, etc. But then he started making some funny moves, these king moves, the h3 to h4, and he gave Kramnik just enough time to drum up his counterplay, and now here we are, and Black is better. So it's Black, if you're in those type of positions, don't give up. Just keep playing good moves, and your opponent may make mistakes. Queen c2, bishop takes f3. Again, the final psychological blow. He takes Anand's last beloved horse. Rook takes f3. Queen c8. And how much of a psychological blow was it? It was a huge one, because after Queen c8 by Vladimir Kramnik, Anand resigned. He said, I can't play on without my horses. And he gave it up. But in reality, he was dead lost in this position. The queen is coming here next, okay, to attack this rook. And let's just imagine for a second, if let's say king e2 would just make up a move. Queen there. And now you had this attack here on this pawn. Let's say you try to protect it. There is no protection. Okay, again, king safety, right? Being the issue that is going to decide the game. That's just one simple variation, and so Anand's resignation is by no means premature here. Another possibility is king d2. Again, queen g4 attacking the unprotected rook on f3, as well as the unprotected pawn on h4. Say the other rook comes over, and now you have a nice tactic here. Knight b3, check. Again, king safety being an issue. And let's say after rook takes b3, then you have queen g2 here. And you get it by now. King safety is a major factor. After king c3, you don't even have to grab this rook, but you can simply play queen h3 here. And after king b2, then you simply play rook takes b3, queen takes b3, and now you grab the rook. And now you're just up in exchange with an exposed king. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that game. Nice, strong game by Kramnik. Again, very, very educational game. And good sport by Anand by giving us enough material that we can analyze for the people. So, hope you enjoyed that. Please like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you on the next video.